research methods. Hello and welcome to the Research Methods podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Eugene. Hello and welcome to our mini-series on measuring how people think, measuring mental models using the causal mapping method. And in my previous episodes, I explained more or less what you have to do. And this episode will be more technical. I'm just going to explain how we did and how we implemented this tool. And I think we used Lime Survey first, but you can also use any other software like Qualtrics or whatever you are using. We organized this research as a survey, online survey, and we created a list of words in our event. These were the different values from two different value systems, the Islamic and the Christian European values, or Western values we call them also. And we made a list where we brought these values together. Of course, some of them overlapped, some not. And we just wanted to see whether people from different countries, and we had several countries who participated in the study, whether they have the same values associated with the businessman. Because it was at a university in a class on business communication, if I remembered correctly. It was a while ago. And after we did it, we created a simple list that was, I think it was a drop-down menu, or it was a multiple choice question in Lime Survey. You can do the same in Qualtrics or whatever system software you're using. And we offered our participants a list of, let's say, 25 items, and we asked them to pick a certain number of items. And here's the trick. In order to be very correct, you need them to select all of them and actually relate all of them. But if you think about picking 5 values will lead to 20 different comparisons. If you have 10, it will be many more comparisons you have to run. And the more items you pick, the more items you select, the more comparisons you will have to run. So it will be just overwhelming for your participants. That is why my recommendation is to stay by 5, maybe 7, 8 items that people have to pick from the list. Like the most important things related to the object of your investigation. After they pick them, and it is called in Qualtrics the piped text, you are allowed to import as the text of the next question the selected items from the previous one. That is why you can either create a table where you have the rows and columns, and you will have to have a kind of table with the rows that are called based on the items picked and the columns based on the items picked. So theoretically, you have the columns A, B, C, D, E, and you will have the rows A, B, C, D, E. And what you have to is actually on the crossing of the row and column, you just have to enter the value. How A is related to B, how A is related to C, and you can use it using a drop-down menu. Yet, using this drop-down menu and making table presentation has two negative consequences. First, it is very hard to program, and you will probably need to go into JavaScript. The second one, many students, many participants, they still respond to your questionnaire using their smartphone, and having a complex table with the drop-down menus and so on will be overwhelming for the small screen of a smartphone. You will either have to force them to sit at a tablet computer or a PC or their Mac in order to answer the question, or you have to drop the participants from the test, which is not good. That is why there is a much simpler solution. If they have picked the 5 items, you can create a simple questions where you ask them about how the things are related. And the first question will be, how do you think, what is the impact of A on B? And below you have the answer option from -3 to very negative, then -2 negative, -1 slightly negative, 0 neutral, or no impact, and then 1, 2, and 3 for the positive effect. What is the impact of trust on friendship? What is the impact of friendship on trust? What is the impact of trust on, communication? What is the impact of friendship on communication? And so on. And as you can see, people will just see them just as a list of questions, and responding on 20 questions is very, very simple thing, and you don't have to program so much, and you can do it even from a smartphone, so it will work perfectly. To do this, again, you need the pipe text and you need the simple realization, and this works also for Lime Survey. In Lime Survey, you can use the previous responses as the input text for your questions, for your values that you use in the table, and so on. And after you have done it, you will have a list with all the values they picked and the relationship they have. And here it is a bit more complex, and we come to the solution that I developed at that moment. I programmed a plugin in Excel. I inputted into Excel all the values I had. I had the person ID, then I had the value selected, and then I had the relationship between these values. So we have, like, I don't know, probably 20 different columns, because you have always the values. Actually, you have in each column already the value that have been picked, and you can see how the values are related. And then you need to calculate the distances. And here we come to the next tricky point, because you have to calculate the distances between each person to all other people. So you have the people 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You need to calculate the distance between the person 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 1 and 4, 1 and 5, and so on. Then 2 and 3, 2 and 4, because 2 and 1 is the same distance as 1 and 2. So just you will need to calculate all these distances. Manually, it will be a very painful process, but you can automate it. And I developed at that moment a plugin in Excel that runs in VBA that just takes the values and calculates the differences based on the formula that we imported from the paper by Markoczy and Goldberg, with some adaptation, just because in their formula, for example, there was possible a division through 0. We had to avoid this option. It wouldn't work, so mathematically it would be wrong, but it also theoretically would make no sense, and so on. And this is how you calculate the distances. At the end, you will have a very huge table that relates everybody to everybody. It's like a correlation table. Similar, from the papers, the correlation table, where you have the rows and columns of different items and how they relate to each other. So you can do the same. And in this plugin, if I remember correctly, I think I also made the restructuring, making just a list of, repetition of many people relating to many people, because you will have the one person number 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 4, and it's a kind of the same person. So you need another index variable that works. But you can do it also manually in SPSS. It is, by the way, very easy to do. So I hope we talk about these abstract terms in an audio way, but I hope it was interesting and understandable. If not, again, please take our paper. Please take the paper by Markoczy and Goldberg, or drop me an email. If you want to have this plugin, I think I should have it somewhere, so I can maybe even upload it on ResearchGate so you have access to it. Wish you all the best, and drop me an email if you liked the episode, or if you'd like to know something more about the methodology for the recording of my next episode. All the best. Bye-bye.